Welcome in to episode 8 of the Bleav in Twins podcast on the Bleav Network. I am your host, Anders Pryor, alongside my wonderful co-host and analyst, Zac Tipton. Zac, how are you feeling to start the week after this pretty brutal weekend? Zac looked pretty. Zac opened up when I logged on. Zac was up in arms, like trying to get his energy up to see me because he had such an exhausting day after a pretty taxing weekend.
Yeah, no, it's been a taxing weekend. It's been a taxing day today for me. I've been up since 7 a.m. I couldn't sleep last night, so I didn't fall asleep till like 3:30, and I had to wake up at 7. So I'm running on like no sleep, which is fine. But I'm doing well right now, honestly. I'm excited for the series tonight versus the Braves. I'm excited for that. That
Yep.
starts in about an hour. So hopefully this podcast is done by the time that game starts, but we will see.
Yeah.
Um, and then on the other hand, I'm also just very happy with I'm not happy with how the day for the series went, but I'm also like I was very happy to see we won at least the Pablo Sonny matchup
Yep.
because that was a crucial one for us.
Yeah.
But no, I'm actually in a good mood. I'm in a good place right now today. And yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing. How are you doing? How are you doing, Anders?
I'm good. I'm good. No, I mean the I feel like the Pablo one, even without the Sunny component to it, I feel like the Pablo one is the one that you kind of want to win, since like for a lot of these like younger guys, you're still giving them like some time and some wiggle room to really figure out their identity. But like but like you traded Luis Arias to go and get Pablo. Like you want to see, and he is technically like the ace of the team. Like you want to see
Yeah.
this kind of stuff from him. He had, I think you mentioned it, Zach, earlier. Like this was, I mean, this was a legitimate candidate as like his best outing of the season.
It is. I think it is. I
Yeah,
don't think he's had a lot of outings this year. He's allowed 0 runs,
yeah,
and it's actually gone 7 innings. So
yeah.
I'm really
Um,
happy with how he performed. But honestly, I'm also happy with how the rest of the guys performed. Like, yes, we lost Sunday, but Zoe Matthews went 5 innings, only allowed a solo homer, and had 7 strikeouts in 5 innings. Like,
yeah.
that's my guy right there. That's why I told you. I said I think that'd be a breakout game
No,
for him. I was
the
very
two the two lost games, it's Zebi, I think, in the box score was solid. I think Festa was, had a not a great start, but not for some reasons that you would expect, and there's just in the kind of small sample we've seen from him, but
he was
it'll
really
be.
inefficient. He was really inefficient on Friday,
Yeah.
and he was struggling to get swings and misses. He was struggling to strike people out. He was walking a lot of people, which was what we were more scared of with
Yeah.
Festa because Festa was always a kind of a walker in the
I forget,
minors.
did he have 70 pitches through 3 innings?
He had a lot of pitches through three
He
innings.
must have been
He
if
only
not,
went
if he
he
didn't reach
only
it, was
went
close.
3.2. He only went 3.2. So I'm
Right.
assuming he probably had like yeah, I'm assuming he
I
probably had
know that
like
he had, I want to say
he
he had
finished with
75.
75. He finished with 75. And I'm assuming they pulled him because he just was struggling to get outs.
Right.
So
No,
um
that's a yeah, that's a bad
you almost
pace.
wonder
And
if
if
by
you're
the end of the year, we're almost at a point where we wonder if Festa would take a bullpen role by the end of the
right,
year. And like
sure.
our 4-man rotation would be our other 4 pitchers, and then Festa would take a bullpen role. I almost
No,
wonder that for the playoffs.
that's a good idea because like those like
He's
yeah,
really
those.
good one time through the order. Like he's really good one time through the order, and then after
Mhm.
that he's struggled. So like I wonder if he'd be a perfect like 2 inning relief guy in the playoffs. And
Right.
I could see it happening. I see a lot of things. I've been looking at ways the Twins can impact their bullpen. And like obviously I think Louis Verlin will eventually do that bullpen role again this year, like he did last year. Um Festa would be a guy that I find it very interesting to see if he does a bullpen role. And then I think if Joe Ryan makes it back healthy, I don't think he has enough time to build up into a starter again. But if we can get Joe Ryan out of the bullpen for an inning or
Right.
two in the playoffs, that would be huge.
Sure.
That would be massive
Yeah.
if we could
No,
get Joe Ryan healthy and out of the bullpen.
for Festa, for Festa, like for those guys, like for the strikeout artists whose like main method of like strikeout is their off speed stuff, right? Like I think to this point he's pretty clearly established his slider as his primary two strike pitch. You need efficiency. Because you can, if you're battling with velocity, like you can, forgive a little bit of, going maybe 4 or 5 pitches more than you should in an inning. But like if you're trying to get guys to swing and miss with breaking stuff, then it's kind of really hard to justify 22, 23 pitches in an inning, so, or in a half inning, excuse me. So that was the big takeaway, even though he technically didn't give up that many runs, only 3. But the inefficiency was definitely the big part of it. Real quick to kind of touch on the outside little baseball bit that we try to do as Zach's camera went blurry, slowly there in focus, and there we go. There we go.
I realized too.
So big headline today, obviously, for those of you who watch kind of afternoon programming. CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, 4 years, $136 million extension, putting him at $34 million a year annually, $1 million a year short of Justin Jefferson. And I'll match Zach there. It's kind of, I think the amount of money is appropriate. I think that in the current ecosystem of wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, the claim that CeeDee Lamb is $1 million, it's hard to, the word worse might be a little bit critical, but I think he is $1 million worse than Jefferson. I think in this ecosystem, I think that's a pretty fair thing, but it is kind of difficult. And from a business perspective, it's weird because I think that this contract, I think, is exactly what everyone sort of thought he was going to get. And instead of, instead of just either giving it to him, right, it's sort of,
Anders, I'm
it
gonna
would
be
be.
honest here. Hey, Anders, can you hear me? Your mouth is not matching your like
Are
your
you
mouth
serious?
is not. Oh, I think it is. Wait, try it now.
Good.
Go again. Say talk right now.
How now?
Okay, that's good. That's good.
How
That's
about
good. It just
I'm
it,
good?
it wasn't
I'm better?
for you're back. You're back. You're back. It just wasn't for a little bit there. I was a little weird.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm back, guys. Good to see you guys again. But I want your thoughts, Zach, because it's
Yeah.
it's this like weird thing where this was the exact money that we all knew he was going to get, and they could have just given it.
That's
There
what
was
I
some
was saying was like if you just went to CeeDee Lamb and say, hey, we think you're the second best wide receiver in the NFL, or we think you're up there with the second best wide receiver in the NFL. We don't think you're as good as you're like we don't think like you're at the Justin Jefferson level yet. So we're gonna offer you exactly $1 million less than Justin Jefferson per year. That would have saved a lot of time. Like if that just wouldn't, why do we need the whole show of like,
right.
is he gonna sign? Are we gonna? What's gonna happen here? I don't know.
Yeah, because
It's really stupid
there
because
was
to be honest, we all knew what you were gonna get. It's the second time in a row that happened. I think wasn't it who was wasn't it who was it? The Zach Martin? Was it the Zeke Elliott? Didn't Zeke Elliott like hold out for a really long time and then get like the exact same contract we all expected him to get like a few years ago?
I think the holdout component I think that's Zach Martin that you're referring to. It might be. I'm pretty sure. Maybe something similar happened with Zeke.
But
I can
Zeke, I
double
feel like
check
maybe,
that. But
Zeke, but they like waited and waited on Zeke, and then they finally gave him the contract we all expected them to give him because even though they
right.
waited so long to do it.
Yeah. it's weird because they did it wrong twice. Where they did it, they paid Zeke before Dak, which was itself a mistake, and then they didn't even get the paying Zeke part right. But the really good point that Nick Wright made today, I thought on First Things First, was that paying him with not even 2 weeks before, or yeah, like 2 weeks before the season, is there would be some continuity of thought if there were two options. It's like, okay, hey, we're gonna pay him right now on like the first day of free agency period and just get it all set to go, and we'll get him for even a little bit cheaper than we probably would, depending on how other deals kind of fall off. They probably could have got him for like $30 or $31 million a year.
Yeah.
And so that would be one school of thought, and like doing it early the right way so that you get him in camp, or you don't extend him because they have a philosophy of, okay, we think the wide receiver bubble is getting out of control and we want to kind of fully just, if we're going to let the leaves fall, as Jerry Jones has been saying, then do it to the full extent. But instead, now what they've done is they've went with the first option, but they sort of half-assed it, and they did the exact same thing that they could have done, except they missed an entirety of CeeDee Lamb in camp, and now all the motions and the timing with the quarterback is going to be off. And
Yeah.
so I thought it was just really poorly executed business.
And I don't know if it's on CeeDee Lamb or if it's on the Cowboys or on what. I don't know. Um, to me, I feel like this number is exactly what the Cowboys should have offered. So if that is what the Cowboys should have offered, and CeeDee Lamb just like waited a long time to finally accept it, or waited a long time to like see if they go up on it or whatever. We don't know whose fault it is here. We don't know who was in the wrong in the situation. I think both sides are in the
Right.
wrong. But because I don't like holdouts, but I also don't like. But I also understand why CD would, because he was obviously needed to get paid and he was worth this level of money
Right.
that he got. So I don't know, but I'm excited to see now that this has happened what Jamar Chase gets, because I'm seeing
Yeah.
all. I feel like Jamar Chase is getting close on theirs, and if that is the case, does Jamar Chase get around the same number as CD, or does he actually go for the over Justin Jefferson number? Um, what would they decide there? Um, which is
Yeah.
curious, which is where I'm wondering,
I
because I'm
wouldn't.
wondering, because
I would not be.
I would not put
If,
Chase above Jefferson in my opinion, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got like what I think Jefferson got 35. So I wouldn't be surprised if like Jamar Chase got like 35 and a half or something. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
But I
No.
think Chase
And
I think Chase 34 seems right for Chase in my opinion. Like 34 million a year seems right for Chase in my
I
opinion.
no, I wouldn't be surprised if I would not be surprised if Chase gets down to the dollar, essentially the exact same contract as Lamb. Jamar has reported like come back to camp, so he's folding in a little bit. But I can guarantee you, he will the floor will be set at 32.
Yeah.
That I think is
What
pretty
about IU?
intuitive.
I don't know if IU's going to trade it or not, if he's going to trade it, or if he's going to stay in San Fran. But if he does get re-signed, what's his number? Because to me, I don't see him being anywhere near 32. I don't see him being
So
anywhere
I
near I maybe 30, maybe, but like it's hard for me to say Brandon you because we're 30 when he's only had
so
one
I
really
think
good year for him. What about you? What's
I
up?
think I think the reporting that I saw said that the Patriots were willing to offer him 32 a year. And like that because that which was the most money that he was offered. Um, I think I don't know exactly the number that 40 that San Francisco has put forward and for how many years. I mean, like the stuff was all in place for New England. He just didn't want to go there. Um, so I don't know. I think I feel like 30. is probably the appropriate number. I think if you're New England, you feel comfortable throwing in the extra, $2 million a year, which would be, whatever that would be, an extra 8 million, 10 million bucks, because you just have so much room and you're not doing anything with it that you can afford to kind of tip it over a little bit to kind of beat out, a Pittsburgh or a Cleveland. And, we have to see what those trades would look like, because realistically, with all the guaranteed money that Deshaun is getting, if you're Cleveland, you essentially have to get Amari Cooper over to San Francisco to make it work from a money standpoint. So we'll see. But I think it'll be somewhere between 30 and 32. I don't think he gets less than 30.
I agree. I think it's less than 30, but
I think
to me, I look at it, I'm like, how do you give him that though? It's like
right.
The reason you give Jefferson, CeeDee, Jamar Chase is because they've had now multiple years where they were top 5 wide receivers in football. Ayuk has had one where he was maybe a top 7. Like, I don't know where you rank Ayuk's season last year in terms of other wide receivers, but and maybe he was a top 5 wide receiver last year, but he's had one year where he's a top 5 receiver, and I think the other ones he really hasn't. So it's hard for me to look at Ayuk and be like, yeah, he's worth 30, he's worth 32, he's worth $2 million less than Jamar Chase. I don't see that. But yeah, that's just me personally. I maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see Ayuk being worth that.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Like if he had another year where he was like, if he had another year where he did the exact same stats he put up last year, and he had another year of that, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But he's had 1 year where he put up those stats, and he really has not put anything up close to that his first 2 seasons. So I don't know. That's me. That's our football talk for the day. Anders, we just did another fantasy draft, actually. We just did another fantasy draft, and you got the 6th pick, and I got the 9th pick. What are you?
I know I have 7 now, because there was a sort of like a weird screw up.
Oh, right. Wait, I thought you got. Oh, yeah, I thought that turned you into 6. Okay, 7, and I have. No, yeah. I have 9. Do you have 7 or 8? 6. Do you have 6 or 7? I thought you were 5th.
No. You have 9. I have 7.
Okay, so at 7, what are you looking for at 7?
What are you looking for? At 7? So I obviously don't. Obviously, the top 3 running backs in McCaffrey and Bijan and Brees will be gone. Those 3 will be gone. They're not going to fall to 7. I don't believe so.
I mean, I could see it happening, because I could see. So my thought first off is it's going to go CMC. It's going to go. It's going to go CMC. It's going to go CeeDee and Tyreek in that 2-3 spot probably.
Because
I was going to assume Joe Coyne would take Brees Hall at 4. That was kind of my assumption.
That was also
take Brees at 4. And then I was going to say, I thought because Josh has 5.
Yeah.
Or no, Colin has 5 now because he jumped in there.
Colin has 4. Colin has 4. Joe has 5.
So Colin would probably take a wide receiver there, in my opinion, unless he goes Brees and steals it. But Joe's taking Brees, in my opinion. So I'm going to take
Joe is taking Brees. Also, shout out to all of our friends for getting the podcast.
Yeah, I'm dropping them all. And then so I was thinking, so then I'm like, okay, so Josh, if Amon-Ra falls to Josh, I feel like I'm convinced at this point to get to that Amon-Ra might fall to that Josh should take Amon-Ra there, because I feel like I've convinced Josh enough to like Amon-Ra.
Yeah, we have a friend of ours who is not as engaged in fantasy football, but is trying to become more engaged, and we've essentially kind of hypnotized him into thinking that in that middle round, Amon-Ra is like the quintessentially perfect target. So, so hopefully one pick.
Then all of a sudden, it comes down to who Anders takes. If Anders takes like a takes like a Monroe or takes another wide receiver there, all of a sudden you could be left with like a Justin Jefferson or Bijan Robinson falling to you at 7.
Yeah, no. So
And then if you get, and then so that, I assume you probably take one of those two.
yeah, I would if Jamal. I'm going to assume. So if I'm just assuming that Bijan and Brees are not there, I'm gonna also I think assume that Lamb is also gone by 7. I'm assuming.
Lamb's 2.
I
had Lamb and Tyreek on 2-3.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I've seen a couple. There's been some more volatility in that first 7 than I think that there was like a month ago. But assuming is not, if Amon-Ra is there, I would probably take him. If he is not there, I would more than likely want to go with Chase. I'm assuming though that if neither of them are available, and that means that a slew of receivers, if Amon-Ra and Jamar Chase have both been taken before 7, then that probably means
running backs are available. That means running backs.
One of the two are available. So if one of them is available, I would take that. But if not, I also have grown more liking to Jonathan Taylor in the past couple of weeks. I've been talking to
you're
him.
exciting me here into thinking that there's a chance that Jettas may fall to me at 9.
I will not. I will not. I'm not. You know me. I'm not taking Jefferson. I don't trust.
You're making me. I do have some thinking about it. I'm like, is there a chance Jettas falls to me at 9? There might be a small. But then I remember Dimitri's before me. I feel like Dimitri loves to steal from me just for the funds of it. So I feel like Dimitri might steal Jettas if Jettas falls to him there at 8. But
right.
We'll see. Anyway, so that's all our friends. You're welcome for reading all of our friends in our head there while we were doing fantasy drafts.
Oh man.
But no, for me, then it comes down to if somehow Jettas falls to me at 9, I would take Jettas no matter what, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Otherwise, Jahmyr Gibbs is a guy I'd be very okay taking at 9. And getting that running back at 9 and then going wide receiver at 10. Or then going like a Devontae Adams if he falls back to me at pick 13 or whatever it is. Actually, that wouldn't be 13. It would be 16. If Devontae Adams falls back to me, I'd take Devontae Adams probably. Otherwise, I might like reach on some wide receivers or something, but I don't know yet. We'll see that. Or I could do like a running back situation and do like try to just build the best running back core I could possibly build and getting like a running back and Devon A-Chain or Jahmyr Gibbs and a something like that.
I think running back has gotten less popular over the past like couple of years. Just that's see, Gibbs is someone like if I were in the last 5, if I were in the last 3 picks of our draft for the first round, Gibbs would be someone that I would be willing to reach a couple of spots for. But I like even at 9, I would probably be willing to reach a little bit for him. But 7 is like right at that threshold where I feel comfortable.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs is a guy I'd be okay reaching for. Otherwise, I'd probably see if I can go like I don't think I'd go Garrett Wilson. I don't like taking Garrett Wilson in the first round personally. Yeah. But like I would say, I'd probably say Jahmyr Gibbs probably my pick unless Jettas falls to me somehow. Then in that case, I'm going I'm taking Jettas at 9, obviously. Or if any of those like top running backs really fall to me, I'd be okay taking them. But yeah, so that's our fantasy talk. I feel like we should really get into baseball because I feel like at this point
we should get into
25 minutes.
We got really
we got really into football. Sorry, as you can tell, we are massive football fans, and this is our life.
Football fans, massive sports fans.
I am also just a massive baseball fan. So let's get talking about baseball.
Yeah, let's talk about baseball. So, really kind of unfortunate 1-2 series loss to the Cardinals, non-conference opponents, so not a ton in terms of implications. I mean, Zach, like you said, that now the Twins are third in the division. But this is a division that many people, that essentially everyone expects by this point, in the last week of August, is kind of predicting to produce 3 postseason teams. So, we talked about the Festa start and sort of the unexpected inefficiencies and how,
Anders, before we go into that, there's a couple of things I wanted to discuss outside of Twins baseball.
yes.
The AL
Oh,
Central
yes.
first. I wanted to quickly talk about the AL Central. The AL Central is getting good, guys.
It is.
The
It's super good.
The Royals just won the first game of a doubleheader versus Cleveland today, which means the Twins are only 2.5 games back of the division, but we are now in third place. But we're still 4.5 games ahead of the Red Sox for the wild card. So there is still that. But the Twins are in third place now. We're 2.5 games back of the Guardians for division lead. It's an insane race right now. I don't even know how to explain this. It is 3 teams that are just not letting up.
It's
and
the
you
most
almost feel like the
division.
Twins are kind of falling behind here with all their injuries and starting to catch up to them. And it's the worst time possible for them to fall behind. But
it's the most, I think it's the most entertaining division in baseball because, like Yankees and Orioles in the East, that's a 2-person race. The Red Sox aren't really involved in that. The Houston and Seattle thing, that's kind of, sad.
Over.
Like it caused the
That's
manager to get
now.
fired.
Yeah.
That's
Scott Cervais got fired.
Know.
That's crazy to me. Scott Cervais getting fired mid-season on a team that was like in the playoffs like 2 years ago and was like a top team in baseball 2 years ago is crazy to me. But
he was a manager of the year finalist a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no, Scott, it's crazy. It's crazy how fast
manager of the year finalist a couple of years ago.
Shout out to 2019.
Totally pull away. I don't.
Sorry. I was gonna say shout out to 2019 manager of the year Rocco Baldelli. Go.
Oh yeah, of course. I think, and then in the National League, like the Phillies, I think have basically locked it up. I don't think the Braves are. I think they're too injured to kind of overcome their drought. I think the Brewers have had the division locked up in the NL Central.
I don't know though, man. The NL West,
really for 2 months,
West race,
and then
that NL West race is awesome.
The NL West. So I think it is really no. It is really. It is really. That's probably the other one. I do think that collect. No, I think the collection of teams. Like maybe you're right about the NL race because I think the main way that the AL Central race got really interesting is because of the first place team in the Guardians kind of slowly withering away versus, which is kind of not a great way for it to become competitive versus over in the NL West. Like the reason that it started to happen was because the Diamondbacks and the Padres started to hit for crazy averages. So that is, I guess, a little bit more entertaining, but it's one of those two. I will say this as a sidebar. I think there's a little, and I don't believe that I mentioned this on the last episode, but there's, I forget what major platform it was, but it was some sort of account that like Twitter account that basically the Diamondbacks and the Padres really started to heat up and like become legitimate threats to the Dodgers winning the division. And but because it's the Dodgers, they kind of need to put everything through the lens of them. And so I think there was some sort of thing where they had initially made a tweet, like a post with the rankings in the division, and they phrased it as, could the Padres and the Diamondbacks be threats to win the National League West or threats to overtop the Dodgers or whatever it was? And then I believe it got deleted, and then they reposted it and rephrased it as, are the Dodgers still are the Dodgers still safe at the top of the NL? So it was, that was kind of disappointing because you're just taking it and kind of the literally the same thing, but like you refuse to even say the names of the teams that are not as marketable. So that was kind of a not great uh, little thing. That was kind of upsetting. You wouldn't really get that in the Central because they're all small market teams at the top three. So um, but
Yeah, no,
which one do you find more entertaining, the Central or
I
the
would
NL
say
West?
I'm gonna say Essential because it's been a lot closer for the full year.
Sure,
And it only
that's
was
fair.
very recent that happened, that they came out. Um, but no. Oh, I was gonna say I have two more things here. Two more things I want to talk about before we go into the Twins talk. I want to talk about two things. One, shout out to Danny Jansen for becoming the first player in MLB history to play
Oh,
for two teams in one game. For both teams.
everyone Google this. This is an amazing story. This is something that everyone should Google the second they stop listening to this episode.
Agreed. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so I'll tell the story here. So basically, Danny Jansen was playing for the Blue Jays a few months ago in a game that got against the Red Sox that got rained out. He was at bat when it got rained out. He was like mid at bat, and they rolled the tarp out, and he got rained out. They ran out the game. They postponed it until today. And in that time, Danny Jansen got traded to the Red Sox. Um, and so Danny Jansen, and then the starting catcher got DFA'd or cut. He got the starting catcher got. Is he on the IL or did he get cut? I think he got cut. Danny
I
McGuire.
don't. Yeah. Oh, I no. I think it was injured. We can check that.
I forget, but whatever. So anyway, Danny Jansen is now the starting catcher. So they came into the game today, and everyone was kind of realizing this could possibly happen. And sure enough, Danny Jansen was brought in to be the catcher to pinch defense and pinch play for their original catcher in the at bat that he was originally in. And so the pinch hitter was pinch hitting for him while he was catching it. It was just a really cool story.
That's really
Um,
cool.
that you've never, it's the first time it ever has happened. And it's actually
Yeah.
so cool that this happened. So
No,
I
I mean,
really do it. And I think he got, he, he threw out his pinch. He threw out his pinch runner. I want to say also that
yeah,
happened there. He
that is
like
funny.
threw out that guy. He threw out the guy that was pinch hitting for him.
That's a
Um,
very
it's
really cool story.
a really random thing. And then the third thing I want to talk about is also I saw it is the first time in MLB history, first time in 27 years. Sorry, first time in 27 years that three of the top four picks in a draft have debuted within a year of their
Yes,
within the next year of their
yes,
draft.
yes,
Um,
yes.
Dylan Cruz made his debut today. Is going to make his debut today.
Hmm.
And with that, Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, and Wyatt Langford, who are 1, 2, and 4 in last year's draft, have all debuted.
Yeah,
And it is absolutely awesome. You gotta
pretty
love it. You gotta
remarkable.
love
Yeah,
that. It's pretty remarkable, and they're all going to be really good. Langford's already been really
yeah,
good for the Rangers. He's been good for them for a while. Skeens looks like the next coming of the greatest pitcher of all time.
yeah,
And I'm excited to see what Cruz does here. But
yeah.
with that, I also want to bring up this because I've been waiting to talk about this for a while. If you look at the MLB top 100 prospects, let's look at the MLB top 100 prospects, shall we, Anders?
Oh, you know
The,
me.
the number one prospect, Jackson Holiday. He's in the majors and will probably graduate from prospect status by the end of the year.
Yep.
Or will
I think
graduate
I
by
think
prospect
you should. Yeah,
from prospect
probably.
by the end of the year.
Yeah,
Junior Caminero is in the majors, and he could possibly graduate from prospect status early in the year, if not very early in the next year at least, right?
right.
Um, Dylan Cruz just got called up, and he'll probably graduate from prospect status at the beginning of early next year as well, which all of a sudden means who's going to be the number one prospect pretty early next year? Walker
Good
Jenkins.
Jenkins.
The
Oh, that's great.
probably number 4 ranked prospect is now the only person in the top 4 that has not debuted. He won't debut for a couple of years.
Right.
So now all of a sudden you're like, the Twins could have another number one prospect to be our first number one overall prospect since Byron Buxton.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very excited to see that when it eventually happens. I think he will eventually be ranked number one in the number one
No,
prospect.
it's really cool to where is Max Clark?
Max Clark is 7. Max
He's
Clark is
seven.
7.
Okay. There may or may not be some back and forth there. I think there might be maybe a couple points in certain months where Clark is higher or whatever, but there will be a point where Jenkins is the number one prospect in baseball. I do agree with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's and I'm excited to see when that day eventually comes because it's very awesome. We are very excited for Walker Jenkins to kind of be the hero, be that next hero of Minnesota. And
Yeah,
so we're hoping.
no,
I was
absolutely.
excited to talk about that because I realized that pretty early on, which is that all 3 of the guys above Walker Jenkins in the rankings right now are in the majors. So there's a really good shot by at least early next year when all 3 of those guys eventually graduate from prospect status that Walker Jenkins could be considered. And I forget how much it is to get graduate from prospect status. Do you know the exact stats?
Is it 60 games?
How does MLB prospect graduate from prospect status? A player shall be considered a rookie unless he has exceeded any of the following thresholds in a previous season: 130 at bats or 50 innings pitched in the majors,
Okay.
or 45 total days on an active major league roster during the
Oh, it's
championship.
45. Okay, that's not as many as I thought it was.
45 total days, excluding time on the injured list. A player
Right.
must have rookie eligibility to be considered for any MLB awards such as American or National League Rookie of the Year. So 45 days from now is when. I mean, so Dylan Cruz will not graduate prospect status in
No,
time.
no. So he'll be
Jackson
rookie of the
Holiday
year.
probably will.
Yeah, no,
I
he
assume
will
Jackson Holiday will. Junior
because we
Caminero, when did he get? When did Caminero get called up?
well, didn't he get called up and then get sent back down and then got called up again?
Um,
I don't know how that. I don't know. Do those 45 days have to be consecutive? I don't think
no,
they
it's
do.
not. It's not. It does not be consecutive. It's just
Okay.
50 and it's 130 at bats, or 45 total active days.
Okay. Total. Got it. Okay. I see. Then I think he no. Then I think he should be graduated from that. Um.
Let me look here. He has played. Let's look at game logs for him here. So he has played in. No, he was called up on August 13th, and that was his first ever game. Actually, wait. Nope, he was called up at the end of last year.
Okay.
He was called up at the end of last year. He played in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games last year, or 7 games last year. So he was up for 7 days, or 8 days. He was up for 7 days or 8 days there, and then he's been here since the 13th. So he should graduate from prospect
Yeah.
status because he's at 19. I think he's at 19 or 20 already. So 25 more days, yeah, he's got there. So at most, Walker Jenkins will be a top 2 prospect at the start of next year.
At worst. At worst.
At worst, Walker Jenkins will be a top 2 prospect at the start of next year,
Yep.
with Dylan Cruz probably still being 1 for like 10 games.
Yeah.
And then Walker Jenkins will be number 1.
Oh
So
man.
should be. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we're at there. So anyway,
That's
we're
our
at
prospect
40
right
minutes here, so we probably should have just that was a lot of outside Twins topics. I'm sorry for all that, but I thought
Yeah.
there were a lot of cool storylines there that I
There are
wanted to talk about.
lots of cool storylines. It's always we'll talk about
And
prospects.
so now let's go back into this Cardinals series that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And I have 2 storylines I want to talk about, Anderson. I don't know about you, but I have 2 storylines I want to talk about. The first one is Pablo Lopez. We talked about him earlier, but we
Mentioned
said
it
Pablo
earlier.
Lopez. I think was his best performance of the year. 7 innings, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, and like 8 strikeouts. I forget the exact stat line. I think I'm close on that, honestly. But it was 7 innings, 9 strikeouts. Saying I was one off from being perfect
There,
stat
oh,
line there.
you undersold him.
I know I undersold it. I thought it was 8 or 9. I was thinking if I had 9 and I said 8. Um, but 7 innings, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 0 earned runs on an outing
Yeah,
where he's facing Sonny Gray, who honestly got lit up. We lit up Sonny Gray,
yeah,
which was great to see. Honestly, I feel bad for him because obviously I love Sonny Gray, and honestly, I want to thank him for all he did for Minnesota because obviously he got us our first playoff series win in franchise history. And not in franchise history. Did I just say franchise history? Not in franchise history in 22 years or whatever it was. So we did
right.
win that. Shout out to Matt Wallner for hitting another homer because that's just what he does in life anymore. Also, shout out to Trevor Larnach for hitting a 3-run homer. Shout out to him. Second topic I want to talk about Edward Julian. Um, in what was
Oh,
probably the
yeah,
lowest point of his season, and he's had a really bad season. Don't
yeah,
get me wrong. When we're talking about sophomore slumps, I think Julian probably tops the bucket in terms of sophomore slumps this year. I mean, he's been basically unplayable all season long, yet we continue to give him opportunities because we are injured at that position. And last night was the lowest point, I think. Um,
yeah,
we got to the ninth inning. He was honestly 2 for 3. Like he was having a pretty solid day to play. He was 2 for 3. We got to the ninth inning. We were up a run. Yohan Duran comes in, and first hit, Edward Julian can't glove it. It kind of rolls out of his glove. Not that he would have had a play anyway. It was a really hard play to make. I don't even think he would have had a play, so I'm not really faulting him too much of that. But he couldn't really
sure,
even get
yeah,
it. He missed the actual grab in general. It was not considered an error. It was an infield hit, which it probably should have been. Then um, they bring in a pinch runner. Another ball is hit directly to Julian. It's an easy ground out double play. And Julian just completely misses the second baseman by like a good 5 feet. Like it wasn't even close to the second baseman. I don't know where it was going. It wasn't anywhere close to second baseman. The pinch runner advances to third. The guy that got that advances to second. All of a sudden now you have a guy in second and third, one out, up one in the ninth, and it's just not really a good position. Um, Shout out to Duran for coming back with a huge strikeout there after that, though, and getting a
yeah.
huge strikeout and making it a chance. And then unfortunately, gave up a single right through the gap, scored both runs. Cardinals won 3-2. Um, it was really unfortunate, and honestly was all on Julian. You really can't really blame any of that on Duran. He did exactly what he needed to do. Um, so it's on Julian here, and it hurts, but it is. And
Mhm.
Julian's had a really bad year. But I want to be clear about this. I don't want to give up on him yet because I have seen players who have had terrible sophomore seasons and be written off, and a lot of fans saying, they don't have a place on their respective teams anymore. They're probably done, and come back the next year and have good seasons and kind of
Yeah,
make your way back on the team. One example, obviously, is Jose Miranda. Jose Miranda had one of the best rookie seasons we've had in a while as a Twin. I mean, I think he was third in Rookie of the Year voting. If I'm not mistaken, I think Jose Miranda was third in Rookie of the Year voting 2 years ago. Last year, he dealt with a lot of injuries that kept him out, and he just was playing really bad when he got his chances, and he wasn't good. So he had a really, really bad sophomore year, and then this year he's come back and he's been one of our key players. I mean, Jose Miranda has been incredible for us this year. So, um, yeah. So there are ways Julian can make his way back up. He just might be having a really bad year. So we'll see. But for now, that's that. Um, those are my quick things I want to talk about for that game. As we go into this really kind of fun Brave series that I think is kind of a
yeah.
really series, Anders. I don't know about you, but I think it's kind of a fun series.
No,
Um,
it is. I mean, you had mentioned it beforehand. We start off like really good with Ober and Fried. Fried has not kind of not the same sort of like magical sort of 200 inning 200 strikeout season that we sort of expect from him, but he absolutely, I think, has been, because of all the a lot of people, because of all of the really prominent players that have been injured on the Braves, have kind of sort of in our frame of mind have kind of casted them to the side a little bit. But Max Fried has been great, and I think will be a really good test for the Twins lineup. And despite the injuries, Ober, I think, should be, this will be another really good, I think, litmus test for him to sort of maintain the quality start streak that
And
I
just an
think.
insane run that he's
Is
been
it
on.
11? Is it 11 games now?
I can look it up for you quick. Let me look it up quick.
It's either 10 or 11. I know it's broken double digits.
It is broken double digits. I think we talked about this on our last show. So I think it was the same amount that it was last show. Let me look. It started June
Got it.
16th.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 straight quality starts for Bailey Ober. Oh, Anders, you're cutting out
Okay.
here. You're cutting out here.
Wow.
Anders, you're cutting out.
Wait.
You're
How
back.
about now?
You're back.
Wait.
You're back.
I'm back? Okay, cool.
You're back. 11 straight quality
We're
starts for
back.
Bailey Ober.
Um,
He's been incredible. So I'm excited for this game tonight.
he is incredible.
I think Max Fried has obviously been a great pitcher for a while. It'll be a really solid matchup. And then you take that into game 2, which is kind of a weird one. It's Simon Richardson, who's been very good for us as of recent, versus Spencer Schwellenbach. And I saw a tweet that I thought was amazing, which was, does this set the record for the most amount of names on the back of a jersey by 2 starting pitchers combined in MLB history? And I'm actually curious about it now because and Schwellenbach is that's a lot of
That's a solid pairing. Yeah.
That's what is it? It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 28 letters combined on the back of their jersey between the 2 pitchers of the game that night. Do you know anything about Spencer Schwellenbach, Anders, that you can share with us today?
I think, no, I've done a little bit of, I've done some stuff on him. The sinker, I want to say, well, I mean, yeah,
his baseball savant page looks amazing. His baseball savant page.
No, I had some written notes on him that I don't have on me. Unfortunately, but oh man, he doesn't. Hold on. I had a really sharp note on him. Yeah, it's the slider.
His slider's really good, man. His slider's great. And it's actually kind of crazy. He actually doesn't. He has a bunch of pitchers. He throws his 4-seamer 26%, his slider 20%, his cutter 16%, his curveball 15%, and his split finger 13%. So he has 5 different pitches that he throws 10+% of the time.
No, so I watched his outing on Thursday against the Phillies, and no, the slider and the curveball were the 2 pitches that sort of caught my eye. His 4-seam also has some pretty good movement. Like for a velocity pitch, it has a lot of really nice shape. which you can definitely notice like in comparison, because I think Christopher Sanchez was pitching on the other side, and like if you contrast them, his was clearly better. So this is it'll be another, I think, good test there, in terms of from a plate discipline standpoint, and trying to resist swinging outside the box, that kind of dynamic. I think that will be a good test for that specifically. And then we close out this series with, excuse me.
Aw.
Excuse me. With Festa and Sale. Very the battle of basically generations, I'm pretty sure, is because I think Festa would be Gen X, and then Sale is Chris Sale a millennial? I believe he would be, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
I
don't
don't think
actually know
he's
the
old
answer.
enough to be Gen X.
Yeah, I don't know the answer either.
That's a great but battle of generations for sure. But that will be a cool thing. And this is a Braves offense that, if you look at the metrics, does not, they hit the ball really hard, but they don't produce. But they hit the ball hard, but not with runners on base. It's a lot of solo power. And from Olsen and whatever and Ozuna, they like, for some reason, like the home run numbers and the triple numbers do not really correlate with like runs scored and like WRC plus from guys at the top of the order and things like that. So it's a little, there, as long as the walk stuff, like for Festa specifically, like you had mentioned, like the walking is an issue for him. I think this is this is not a team that really, like, if with runners in scoring position, like doesn't really perform well in certain situations. And so that, as long as you don't make it super easy for them, you should be fine. Where you catch Olsen with a 3-run shot, like don't get yourself into that position. So as long as Fessa is just kind of doesn't even like attack the strike zone, just manages it, I think he should be fine. I think there's a real case. I know it's the Braves and it's a really good record. I think there's a real chance this is his best start.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think so as well. I'm hoping it is. Obviously, we need it to be. So,
Right.
I'm hoping it is. And I guess we will see.
We sure will.
I like Festa. I like Festa versus Sale. Sale
Yeah.
honestly has struggled against us. Like we've actually been pretty good versus Sale in his history. I think I saw a stat that's like Sale's like a 4.2 ERA versus us, which is not bad, but it's also like versus for in that situation, it's okay. So, yeah,
Right.
no, I would say that. But to me, I also could just see that as a loss. Like I feel like one of these games we're going to get like shut out pitching wise. I'm not sure which one it is going to be, but one of these games we're going to get shut out like pitching wise. I could see it being the Schwellenbach game, unfortunately, but I feel like one of these games our
Yeah.
offense is going to like get shut down. So I'm going to say 2 wins. I'm just saying that right now. I don't know what to. I'm not even going to try to guess. I just say 2 wins. I'm going to say probably. You know what? Just for the sake of it, I'll say Bailey over Chris Sale. Like those are the 2 games I think we win.
I think. Oh God. I think Festa beats Sale. I think this is the exact kind of team that Festa's style of pitching is designed to beat. I don't know. I do agree. I think Schwellenbach is going to be great against us. I think, yeah, I really need to see like how the medium ball stuff that he has that the Twins sort of kind of lean on in especially early on in games, how that holds up against that kind of slider curveball combination that he used so effectively against the Phillies. Um, and then Oberfried tonight, or I guess it's happening now, is going to be the best game. I think it's going to be the most entertaining, just in terms of the pitching matchup. Um, I'm gonna be. I will join you in on two out of three and bet that tonight. Oh, not tonight. Ober carries the quality start into a win because I think now they're 9-2 when he has a quality start during this streak. So hopefully that picks up into tonight as well.
Yeah, I hope so as well. I think I'm gonna be honest. I think Ober had. I think it was a kind of an unfortunate loss the last time Ober pitched a few days ago. I don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't see it happening again. I feel like Ober either carries, and I think our bullpen actually steps up for once. So although I don't think Duran is available today, I'm guessing not. I think he threw like 20 pitches yesterday, so I don't know if we'd send
Mm-hmm.
Duran back out today. So that's just the thought. But on the other hand, I think Duran could need a break, and I'd love to see Jax actually get a ninth inning. That's what I want to see. Because I don't know if you saw
I
this,
would
but
actually like to see that too. No,
because
that's actually a really good point.
I want to see if we can finally kind of maybe transition Jax into being. I don't want to say closer because I feel like Duran has just been such a good closer for us, but Jax is so nasty. I want to see him in a
Yeah,
closing role. I don't know if you were able to watch the game. Yes, you probably didn't
especially
see. He pitched yesterday, or he
especially
pitched yesterday, and in that
yeah.
eighth inning, and I said a lot. I thought it was his nastiest outing I've ever seen him pitch. Like it could be up there for one of his nastiest outings. Like he had 11 pitches, 2 strikeouts, and a ground out, and it was just nasty. And they were swinging at nothing. I'm like, what are we? But no, so I'm excited to see. I hope Jax gets an actual chance to close tonight.
If I mean, especially if you're up by like 3 or 4 runs, or even probably closer to
Well,
four, because I
if we're up
think
by like
like
three or
realistic.
four runs, if we're up by 3 or 4 runs, please don't put in either Alcala or Jax, please. Um, I want to save our bullpen
I
arms.
would
Let's not.
well
If it was like two, if it was like two
if you
runs,
wanna
I'd,
if
Jax
you wanna
has had
experiment,
opportunities to close for us, though. That's the thing. Jax has had opportunities to close for us, so he can do it. I just
yeah,
would rather. But if we're up 4 runs, I don't want to waste their arm. Like save their arm for the next 2 games of the series. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
true. No, that's fine.
Um,
I was gonna say, if you want to change up the rhythm of it, maybe give yourself a little bit more wiggle room. But no, I understand your point.
yeah.
I get it.
But no, so I say 2 out of 3. I say, you know what, I'm gonna join you. I'm gonna say we win this game and the Sale game. I think Best has a really good start. As well.
Yep.
Um,
No,
and then I say I say Schwellenbach. I like his Schwellenbach's Savant page is scary, so I'm gonna say we lose to him.
yeah.
But yeah. Okay. Well, that's that. Well,
That is that.
everyone. We were hoping to get this done by the time the Twins game started. And I think we accomplished that by 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, leave right now and go watch.
Well, first
Get
look up the Danny Jansen story, and then go
yeah,
watch this.
leave this episode, then look up the Danny Jansen story, and then go sit down to watch the Twins game.
Yes.
But
and we are happy to bring you this content. We're happy to bring you this show.
we are.
Please, if you do enjoy it, we ask that you subscribe, you comment your thoughts to us. What we could be doing better. We'd love to hear thoughts on what we could do better, what we couldn't do.
Absolutely.
Love to hear that. And also go check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Bleav Network. If you go to Bleav.com and look up Bleav on Twins,
Yep.
Please subscribe to our podcast there. The more followers we get, the more happy we become. So we're really looking forward to it. And we will see you guys on Thursday when we do our next show after this Brave series.
After the Brave series, we'll talk about it
I
there.
will let Anders finish the sign out. I'll let Anders finish this sign out.
Yeah, no, this has been another wonderful episode of the Bleav in Twins podcast on the Bleav Network. I am your host, Anders Pryor. I have been your host, Anders Pryor, along with the wonderful Zac Tipton, who it is always, 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 always great to see. You can check us out on the Bleav Network, or you can listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever else you get your audio media. And if you are watching this visually on YouTube, please subscribe and turn on post notifications. Go Twins. We will see you guys on Thursday, and we will keep you updated, and follow us on Twitter too. That's another thing.
Yes, the Twitter links are in our YouTube bio. So go to our Twitter. Yep. I always put our Twitter links in our YouTube bio. Please go and follow. Please go and follow those. Absolutely. I would love to get more fans talking to me about Twins stuff.
Absolutely.
I post Twins content all day on my Twitter. So
all the time. Yeah, no, engage with us, engage with others, and that'll be a great thing for us as that grows. So we will see you guys Thursday to talk about the series. And Zac, great to see you as always.
Peace out.
Peace.